Hello everyone, this is Bhumika Patil, Senior Lecturer in Information Technology Department of Praveen Patil College Diploma Engineering and Technology, Bhainder. In first part of fifth chapter, that is Managing Enterprises, we studied about how to identify USP, that is Unique Selling Proposition. In that we seen 8 steps to identify unique selling proposition. In second part, we are going to see following outcomes. The learning outcomes of this part are: create your own selling proposition. Why is unique selling proposition important? Tips for writing a good unique selling proposition. Risk management. In risk management, we are going to see following outcomes that are calculated risk, project initiation and planning, integrated futuristic planning, angel investor and venture capitalist. And last point of this part is incubation. How to create your own unique selling proposition. The first step to this process is to identify ideal target audience. Catering your USP to a specific population avoids the hardship of attracting all consumers, thus giving a competitive advantage. You can start by reviewing basic information such as your business plan, mission statement, market statistics, or overall objectives. From there, you may start asking the following questions. The questions are: what is your business selling? Who is your target audience? What does your business value and do well? What consumer or customer focused objective is most valued? Continuing with the last slide, choose the category that your USP would be most appropriate to target. The more basic influences that are nowadays guaranteed within many businesses are quality, price, assistance, and speed. Specific classification could be guarantee, convenience, customization, specialization, variety, or originality. These concepts can be broad, so it is important to avoid cliches such as we guarantee great quality. This step could be visited more than once in the process of creating a USP, as the most appropriate category can change. Next, you need to consolidate what your strengths are. Further investigate as to why they are important to clients, how easy it is for competitors to copy, or if it is only exclusive to your business, and to what extent can they be communicated. For this step, you could initiate a survey for your current customer base to obtain an external perspective. These distinctive benefits are what give your business competitive edge. The next step is: why is unique selling proposition is important. A large benefit to a successful unique selling proposition is the potential to creating a competitive cost and removing your business from a price war. Although some consumers seek only a low price, considering other factors that are valued in decision making will allow you to place yourself at a position of higher value. This not only grows brand awareness but the willingness of customer to pay more for your service. Attention spans are becoming smaller with the age of accessibility to information online. If consumers do not find information easily, then they will quickly move on to the next company. A concise USP ensures that you communicate the message portrayed by your business to client effectively. After doing a customer analysis, businesses attempt to target customers who have more value. Clients could be more profitable than other due to the following factors. The factors are: brand loyalty, paying full price without negotiating, preference to high margin service or products, minimal cancelling or amending of orders. If your USP focuses on consumer or customers who are seeking specific solutions to their problems, or they are a part of a niche market, there is a generally more potential profit. In this slide, we are going to see some tips for writing a good unique selling proposition. Be assertive, but make sure you can back up your business. Simply being unique is not a strong unique selling point when there are so many competing businesses. Focus on differentiating factors that your target customers truly value and take advantage of those influences that are being sought. A USP that is memorable, opposed to the generic message of high quality products, allows a competitive edge which will threaten other competitors. It is important to remember that it is not the product or service being sold that has to be exclusive, but the message that your company focuses on for your USP. Don't forget to do some research towards your competitors. Seeing how they want to be perceived through content and ads is crucial to recognize where you fit in the market. It will allow you to understand the industry that you are operating within and to ensure that your USP is distinguished from the other businesses. Continuing with the tips, your unique selling proposition should not be marketing offers like free shipping, 24-hour 7 customer service, or a strong return policy. Although they are convincing and can be effective when offered collectively, many businesses possess this already. Try not to limit the exposure you give your USP by incorporating it into your brand, products, and any other positions where you are interacting with customers. It is important to repeatedly use the agree unique selling proposition in your marketing mix to ensure that it is remembered by customers. Many companies add it to their homepage and use it as a recurring theme by repeating it through ads or content offered to the public. A USP is an important part of a business plan. It determines from the outset how you differ from your competitors and embeds this into the marketing strategy and business operations. The next step in how to identify unique selling proposition is risk management. Risk management is the identification and management of potential losses. There is a strong relationship between risk and rewards. Generally speaking, risk management neither seeks to maximize reward or minimize risk. In most cases, the goal of risk management is to optimize the risk reward ratio within the bounds at an organization's risk tolerance. The following points are observed in risk management. The first point is calculated risk. A calculated risk is an action or strategy that is pursued after careful consideration of risks. Generally speaking, a calculated risk is taken when it is decided that potential rewards of an action outweigh risk. Such decisions are influenced by risk tolerance and the availability of less risky alternatives. The second step in risk management is project initiation and planning. The project initiation and planning stage is one of the most important as it sets the terms of reference for all that takes place during the project, such as the documentation capturing this important information is sometimes referred to as the project specification, the project terms of reference, the project management plan, or the project initiation document. The importance of getting the initiative stage right shouldn't be underestimated. Get it wrong and the project could be doomed to failure. Project planning is a process that requires careful thought and estimation. As such, undertake planning activities with the key stakeholders in the project. The project initiation documentation formally sets out what is agreed between the manager and whoever has commissioned the project. During this stage, clearly establish who is sponsoring the project and who the project customers are. It's worth grouping the key consideration from the initiation and planning stage to use as a practical format. The third step in risk management is integrated futuristic planning. Integrated futuristic planning is an expanded form of sales and operations planning that spans the end to end value chain of business and ties strategic profitability related objective with short and mid term operational planning decisions through cross functional scenario analysis, informing decisions around more profitable supplier collaboration, demand shaping, marketing, product growth or development, and more. The fourth step of or fourth point of risk management is angel investors. An angel investors, also known as a private investor, seed investor, or angel funder, It is a high net worth individual who provides financial backing for small startups or entrepreneurs, typically in exchange for ownership equity in the company. Often angel investors are found among an entrepreneur's family and friends. The funds that angel investors provide may be one-time investment to help the business get off the ground or an ongoing injection to support and carry the company through its difficult early stages. The key points of angel investors are: an angel investor is usually a high net worth individual who funds startup at early stage, often with their own money. Angel investing is often the primary source of funding for many startups who find it more appealing than other, more predatory forms of funding. The support that angel investors provide startups fosters innovation, which translate into economic growth. These types of investments are risky and usually do not represent more than 10% of the angel investors' portfolio. The next point observed in risk management is venture capitalist. Venture capital is a form of private equity and a type of financing that investors provide to startup companies and small businesses that are believed to have long-term growth potential. Venture capital generally comes from well-off investors, investment banks, and any other financial institutions. However, it does not always take a monetary form. It can also be provided in the form of technical or managerial expertise. Venture capital is typically allocated to small companies with exceptional growth potential or to companies that have grown quickly and appear poised to continue to expand. Though it can be risky for investors who put up funds, the potential for above average returns is an attractive payoff. For new companies or ventures that have a limited operating history under 2 years, venture capital funding is increasingly becoming a popular, even essential source for raising capital, especially if they lack access to capital market, bank loans, or other debt instruments. The main downside is that the investors usually get equity in the company and thus a say in company decisions. In a venture capital deal, large ownership chunks of a company are created and sold to a few investors through independent limited partnerships that are established by venture capital firms. Sometimes these partnerships consist of pool of several similar enterprises. One important difference between venture capital and other private equity deals, however, is that venture capital tends to focus on emerging companies seeking substantial funds for the first time, while private equity tends to fund larger, more established companies that are seeking an equity infusion or a chance for company founders to transfer some of their ownership stakes. The key points for basic venture capital are: venture capital financing is a funding provided to companies and entrepreneurs. It can be provided at different stages of their evaluation. It has evolved from a niche activity at the end of the Second World War into a sophisticated industry with multiple players that play an important role in spurring. The last part of this chapter is incubation. Incubation is a dynamic process of business development. Incubators nurture young firms, helping them to survive in their early stage. Incubator provides following things: infrastructural support, that is office space, meeting room, platform to do networking, management assistance, other support services specific to incubator. Here are some points about Startup Incubation Center in India. Startup incubation holds significant importance in a country like India, where entrepreneurs by the score are launching new setups and changing the game of business by minutes. For the uninitiated, business incubation programs or centers provide support functions, mentorship, and resources to individual entrepreneurs or entrepreneurial setups. This enables them to get all the expert advice and technical guidance that they need to survive for a longer time. Unlike most other entrepreneurial ventures that fizzle out within a few months of their launch, startup incubation centers in India Almost every other prestigious B school today houses an incubation center so that greater business can be nurtured from their very source. Currently, there are about 100 incubation centers supported by the ISBA, which is the apex Indian professional body supporting business incubators. Private incubators are a handful but gradually growing. These numbers are expected to double within the next 2 years. Thank you. Here we end the fifth chapter, that is managing enterprises. Thank you once again.